Hello, everybody. I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to another weekly live chat where I hop here on YouTube at 1 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday to answer any questions that you have about life, goals, planning, whatever it is that is on your mind that you need some support or some help with. If there's anything that you're struggling with, just one of my favorite times of the week to just sit here and chat with y'all. Let's kick it off with our go-to question every single week, which is, what are you drinking? If you are here live, thank you for joining me live and fitting me into your busy schedule. Let us know in the chat what it is that you are drinking while we are chatting. If you are watching the replay, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it so much. I'm glad that they are valuable for you. Let us know down in the comments what it is that you are drinking. I have a latte today, like an actual latte, hot. Now that I finally, I guess my office was cold. And so I have been switching back a little bit to iced coffee, but I have been enjoying my hot drinks. Winter time. All right. Let's see. I totally lost track of the comments. Lots of lattes, lots of coffee, lots of water. I also have my water handy with the cup that my sister got me for my bachelorette that I've been using a lot because it's massive. Lots of coffee, sparkling water with a splash of orange juice. Interesting. I've never even heard of that, but I get the concept of giving a little bit of flavor to your water. Water is still water. Lots of coffee, lots of water, iced tea, and lots of tea. All right. So fun. I love hearing what everybody is enjoying. Those of you who it's still the morning over on the West Coast, those of us here on the East Coast where it's 1 o'clock. And then I know we have also friends on the other side of the pond where it's already evening where you are. And so lots of different types of drinks. Amanda, the video is pixelated. I know why. I had something uploading and forgot to close it out. Hopefully it works. Refresh. Everybody refresh. Hopefully the pixelation goes away and we will get that all situated. I apologize for that. I cannot upload to Google as well as go live at the same time. My computer cannot handle that, but I just closed out the uploading. And so hopefully we don't have any issues with the pixelation. Let me know in the chat if it is all back to normal. That worked. Okay, awesome. I'm glad that it's all better. Thanks for sticking with me, everybody. Let's chat. First question, I just saw it. Is the heater helping your new office? Yes. I think that was really, part of it was getting back into a groove from being out of town last week. And then part of it was it was absolutely freezing in here and I didn't want to be in here and be productive. The heater, I'm having just a completely different week than I did last week. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, seems like all the pixelation has gone away. Thanks for sticking with me. Let's get to it. What questions do you have? What is it that you want to talk about? Feel free to ask any questions, the goal that you're struggling with, a planner question that you have, or just a topic that you want to talk about. If you can't figure out how to frame it into a question, just put topic and then what it is. And if you're watching the replay and you have a question that you want to ask, you can always leave it in the comments of this week's live, and I'll answer it next week. Or you can ask the question in the Q&A box that I post on Mondays. And if it's a question that I can't answer in short as one Instagram story, I will save it for the live later that week. So if you're watching the replay and you're like, I want an option to ask a question, that's how you ask a question. All right. Ooh, Emily, this is definitely a unique situation for you, but I think a question that would help other people, which is struggling not bringing in an income while I wait for student teaching. Would love ideas for quick side hustles in the next month or so. So not from personal experience, but I have heard a lot of people have success with like DoorDash, Uber, like those kinds of quick services. I don't know what your access is like to a car, or I also don't know if you're trying to leave the house. If you're not trying to leave the house or you don't have access to a car, obviously those aren't options. In terms of ones that you can do staying at home, virtual assisting, like doing kind of like admin work, virtual assistant work is also something that I have heard is very simple to onboard somebody and can be very beneficial. If anybody else has recommendations for Emily in terms of side hustles to do quickly in order to bring in that income while she's waiting for something else, or if somebody else just wants that extra income, maybe you have a pay down debt or savings goal that you want to spend some time doing, an extra job to help bump up that goal faster. Abby, this is a great question. Do you plan fewer goals for February since it is a short month? So in my mind, I don't consider the days of the month as a reason to add or subtract goals. I mean, 3 days is a lot of time, but it's also not a lot of time. And when you compare February to a month like January, I really plan fewer or more goals based on my month individually. Is my month a busy month where I have a lot going on and I have less days to work on things? Or is my month a more open month that I can plan more time for goals? That makes sense. Jessica, question. Have you ever used a weekly planner as a daily? If so, did it save you time? So I wouldn't say I used it as a daily, but there was a point when I was using a weekly planner that I would only put the bare bones of going into the week. And then each day I would go in and fill the rest of it. So almost like using it as a daily. I guess I'm wondering if you think it would save you time because you have less space per day. And if that's the case, but you want space for every single day, that's totally an option to use a weekly. But also remember that if you use a daily and you have empty space, like that's totally fine. But if the layout of the daily works for you, but you don't need every single section or every single line, it's okay to leave blank space on the dailies in order to save yourself time with planning. But if you want the daily aspect where you're kind of turning the page every day, getting a fresh start every single day. Tammy, topic. Really finding I'm needing to do goals just a week or two at a time this year. I can't seem to think longer term until busyness events are over through Go Wild. I completely feel that. We did have a conversation about this on one of the Patreon Q&As, talking about whether you plan out your goals in terms of like actually fitting them into your schedule on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. I tend to do mine monthly because by the beginning of the month, I have a pretty good sense of what the month looks like. It doesn't mean that stuff doesn't pop up, but I do have a pretty good sense. But for others, your schedule might change week to week, or your kid's schedule, your spouse's schedule might change week to week. So knowing that you can change and set your goals every single week is totally an option. I know that Tammy, you use the Moxie Life and it's easier to do goals on a weekly basis in that sense. You just leave the monthly goals blank and just set goals on a weekly basis until you feel like you're ready to set monthly goals. Or just use the monthly goals as a brainstorming space for ideas for your weekly goals. Amy, how is dance going? It's good, thanks. I was actually just telling a friend, I had a few minutes to spare before this call, and so I was practicing for dance tonight. My brain is struggling, y'all. So in the past, when I did dance before, pre-COVID, lots of things, I never really felt like I had to practice as much at home. As long as I was there in person, it sunk in and I got it and I didn't feel the need to practice. And then last season, I really felt like I had to practice a lot more. And I wasn't sure if it was getting older is making it harder for me to remember things. COVID brain is making it harder for me to remember things. Or it was a short season last fall. And so we were learning more each week. And I was kind of thinking that may have been a lot of it. Not really, because now we're into the season and we're not learning as much each week because we have a full 16-week season. And I am still struggling and really need to practice at home. But I think the added complication that I have this season is that I'm in 4 hip hop dances instead of 2. Usually it's 2 tap, 2 hip hop. And they're so different that it's easier for my brain to sort them out. I think my brain's struggling a little bit with 4 hip hop dances. So it's going well. I mean, I love dance. No regrets. It's just it's requiring a lot more effort outside of dance for my brain than I used to have to do. Liz, topic, staying productive while working from home. So this is going to be different for every person in terms of what your work from home job is and your abilities to take breaks or do other things. If you're a teacher working from home, it's going to be look very different than me, who is in control of my own schedule working from home. So the tips can sometimes vary based on what your flexibility is like. Couple of things. Number one, I realized as soon as we started working from home almost 2 years ago that I needed a daily planner for work, that the weekly layout was no longer working for work because I needed to be able to map out every day because I was so in control of my schedule and to some degree, even in my corporate job. I also realized that I needed to take breaks and get up from my desk and go do something else. That was a natural at the office because I would either talk to somebody who walked by, or I would go get coffee from the coffee area and then have a small talk with a coworker. Like the breaks were more naturally built in when I was surrounded by my coworkers. At home, that is not the case. So I had to really force myself to take breaks, which really then in turn helped my productivity. I also realized that I needed to work in, like, kind of goes with the breaks, but work in shorter stints. Like, okay, I'm going to focus for 45 minutes and just do as much as I can on this project for 45 minutes and then move on to the next thing. Elizabeth, I have a goal to read a book a month, but can't get into reading right now. Any suggestions? The Lazy Genius has a whole podcast episode on this. I forget what number it is or what it's called, but it's about like reading and getting excited about reading and finding books that excite you. But really, I think it's two things. Number one, it's what you're reading. So if you are struggling with fiction, maybe try nonfiction. If you're struggling with nonfiction, maybe try fiction. If you're struggling with fiction, but you want to stick with it, try a different genre. Same thing with nonfiction. If you're struggling with like personal development, maybe try a biography, like try something that's different than what you're currently reading. And then number two is, when are you reading? Maybe you're trying to fit it into a time in your day that doesn't actually fit well with your life, your goals, your other commitments. So maybe try reading at a different time of day, and then try and let go of the, like, I have to finish this book by the end of the month. Try finding a time, 5 minutes a day, or like 20 minutes on a day that you don't have to work, and try to just like get back into it and then worry about whatever the goal is and getting to something by the end of the month, and just try to enjoy reading again before you worry about the goal. Okay, we're getting to some of the, I'm caught up with all the questions, so I'm getting to some of the answers from the earlier questions. So yeah, student teaching is a job in and of itself. She's actually waiting for her student teaching assignment. So she's kind of in that in between before she started student teaching. I just happen to know that because she's a member of the Patreon community. Bartended or working at coffee shops, also an option. Yeah, Shipt or Instacart also falls into that DoorDash option. Oh, Emily shared with all of you that she's waiting for her assignment. Yeah. Or if you're good at writing, companies are always looking for writers for blogs. That is true. Absolutely. Okay, Jennifer, I purchased the PowerSheet system because of you last year and continue to use it in 2022, but it's not working. I think it's me, but I'm not sure how to fix the issue. I have the same goals from last year. So I just want to say that every system isn't going to work for every person, right? I praise the PowerSheets because that is what works for me and I love them. That does not necessarily mean that they're going to work for you. So I just want to like make sure that I add that in. And if you feel like that it's not working for you, maybe there is a different goal setting system that is going to work better for you. But in terms of having the same goals as last year, that's very normal, especially in the times that we're in. Like, we're not making progress as much as we could because we're also dealing with lots of other things outside of life. And so if you're carrying goals over, also like very normal and very like you're not alone in that scenario. I would encourage you to maybe consider some new action steps. And then I would also encourage you to go back. I did a video about PowerSheets tips for beginners. And even if you feel like you are not a beginner because it's not your first year, I would go back and watch that video and see if there's anything that jumps out at you that maybe you could implement this year or try something different. I think a lot of it is we are overambitious with what we think we can do. We're demotivated because we've been working on the same goals forever. So if maybe it is trying something different or trying at least different action steps. Oh, Amy, that's a good point and a good tip. One helpful thing about using a weekly as a daily is that you don't have to rewrite, I cannot say that word, rewrite tasks every day. You push them off. In that sense, it saves a little time. Great point. Lots of comments talking about how reading blogs, magazines, etc. definitely counts as reading. Absolutely. Amelie, I want to make sure I'm saying that right. My January was 100% better than I had imagined. Awesome. I have a very busy month privately and suddenly a very chaotic month at work. How do I keep momentum without burning out? So that is very, very normal. And I think one of the things that we have to accept when we're working on our goals is that not every month, not every week and every day, but for sure, not every month is going to look the same. We're going to have months like January. Maybe your January was not super busy outside of goals, so you had more time. You likely also had some extra motivation because it was the first month of a new year, but not every month is going to look the same. And so whether that is you've got busy things going on, you're losing a little bit of motivation as the year progresses. I love the question specifically that you asked, how do I keep momentum without burning out? Because that is the key, is keeping momentum and not trying to hit the same levels that you hit in January. So what I would advise you to do is a couple of things to think about. Number one, can you just take a break from some of the goals? And maybe instead of working on however many goals you worked on in January, can you cut one or two of them so that you have less goals that you're focusing on in February? And or cut back on the action steps in terms of quantity and time. It can feel like you're going backwards to say like, okay, well, in January, I read for 30 minutes a day, continuing on this reading goal example. But now I know that things are going to be busy in February because I've got personal stuff and work stuff. I'm going to set a goal to read 5 minutes a day. It might feel like, well, I did it 30 minutes in January. Why can't I do 30 minutes in February? Because of all those things you just said. You have other commitments going on in February. So instead of just saying, well, I'm not going to read it all because I can't read 30 minutes, you're going to cut it back. You're going to take your foot off the pedal a little bit. You're not slamming on the brake. You're not cutting it completely. You're just cutting back a little bit so that you keep up with that momentum. So look over your goals. Which ones could you maybe just take a break until March or April or whenever you have more time to focus? And then which action steps can you just cut back on and slow down a little bit instead of cutting them out completely? And then not feeling guilty about it when you do that, because you're not a failure by cutting back from this amount to this amount. You are just assessing your goals as they fit into your life. Lots of also recommendations for audiobooks for Elizabeth. Good tip. Amanda, if your side hustle isn't paying anything yet, how do you know when to quit or when to stick with it? So I think it depends on what is the ultimate goal of the side hustle, right? Because that is one of the things that I think is really common out there, that everybody keeps like harping that your side hustle like needs to become your full-time thing. And that's not necessarily true. So what is the purpose of the side hustle? Is it to fulfill something that you're either full-time, which I know for you is not necessarily like your specific situation, your full-time is taking care of your family, but even if it's, whether it's a job or caretaking or whatever, your side hustle, is it fulfilling something that you are not getting from your other commitments? Like is it fulfilling something that you like to do, an enjoyment, etc.? And if that's the case, what is that number that you feel like it needs to break even? For the longest time for me, Plan with Laken, I felt like it just needed to break even, right? I was bringing in as much as I was putting out in terms of finances. It was as long as the income that I'm getting, which at the beginning was not all that much, it was like a little bit of AdSense from YouTube and then affiliate links. As long as that was offsetting what I was putting into Plan with Laken, it was worth it for me because it was fulfilling me in other ways. So just knowing, and maybe for you, it's not break even. Maybe you're willing to take a loss because your side hustle is also a hobby and you enjoy it. Or maybe you need it to make you this much because you put this much time in it and you want it to offset your time. Whatever that number is for you, know what that is for you and be okay with that being the situation. However, if your ultimate goal is to take that side hustle into something full-time, then you have to decide how long am I willing to wait this out until I need to pivot and do something else? Because pretty much any business is going to take time to make money. Like that's just how a business works. Like you take the loss at the beginning and then you put in a bunch of time and then eventually you get the profits on the other side of it. And so being okay with that time frame, whatever that time frame is, and then when do you let it go? And it's also about like time as a resource because your time is valuable. So if that side hustle, even if it's if your time is taking up a lot of your time and you don't want to spend your time on that anymore, then maybe it's time to let it go. Loretta, I have an interview on Monday. Congrats, and would love your tips. So we did interview tips a while back. I cannot remember which live it was. I will try to dig that up for you. As somebody who I really only interviewed internally, I did interview externally for other jobs, but I never got them. Don't know if that was my interview skills or it wasn't the right fit. But I really only ever interviewed internally. So I might not be the best person to give interview tips. But the one thing I will say, which is what I think I said the last time, is take this opportunity to brag about yourself, brag about you, pretend that they don't know how awesome you are, even if they've read your resume and or your cover letter, and just brag about yourself. Oh, is it Melina? I hope I'm saying your name right. This is my first time joining live. Welcome. Are you still rollerblading? I have a set and just haven't had the guts. So no, but that is because I fractured my foot in October. So I had started rollerblading and I have not been cleared to get back into them. So hopefully someday I will get back into my rollerblades, unfortunately. Monique recently transitioned from being a full-time employee and single mom to just being a stay-at-home mom. I think I'm trying to take on too many goals now that I have more time. I completely feel you here. And this is kind of going back to what we were talking about with time as a resource. Time is not your only resource. It is a very, very, very important, if not the most important resource in life. And so knowing your time resource and how that relates to what goals you set is very important. But there are also other resources. Your energy levels, especially as a female, our energy levels circulate throughout the month with our hormones. Your capacity as it pertains to like your brain operating, right? Which is somewhat like energy. It's like more like mental energy. There's also time with loved ones in terms of, are they related to your goals or not, financial resources that can be related to goals. But think about your other resources besides just your time, and then inch your way into it. It can be, and I am speaking from experience, going from working, it feels like I got all this time back, right, by quitting my corporate job, but I also am like, things are picking up with the wedding, and so I really don't feel like I got that much time, but I like swung the pendulum the other way and tried to do kind of like it sounds like you did, to try to do too many projects related to the business, because I was like, well, I have all this extra time somewhere now, so I should be able to do all these things. Instead of swinging all the way to the other side, start to inch your way to the other side. So add on maybe 1 or 2 more action steps this month, now that you have more time than what you did before when you were a full-time employee and a single mom. Then maybe 1 more. And then until you find what your level of balance that works for you. We're all different in terms of our energy resources based on whatever our job is, full-time caretaking job, like corporate job, whatever it is that you do during the biggest chunk of time, basically, that you spend each week on something. We all have different energies after that. And so it's not about what somebody else puts on their list, their goal list. It's about finding that little balance of, I have my life commitments, I have my goals, and then I have white space in my calendar. Some other tips on reading, trying an audiobook or podcast instead. And then another tip about side hustles. It also depends on your side hustle. Like writing fiction can take a long time, depending on how fast you write and how fast it takes you to level up. Great point. Question. I'm feeling unmotivated. Winters are short and cold, and after work, I'm low on energy and just curl up on the couch until bed. Working on my goals makes me feel so good. Any tips when low energy? Absolutely. So similar to kind of what we just talked about before, there are cycles of energy throughout the month. And then there are also cycles of energy throughout the year, depending on where you live and also what your job is, because some jobs have cyclical components to them where you're busier at other times or others. So that is why refreshing and checking in with your goals is so important, to make sure that like, okay, for this time, whether it's this week, this month, this quarter, this year, this is how much energy and or time I have outside of my other commitments to work on my goals. The other problem that we really struggle with here, I think we also just talked about this on a Patreon Q&A, is we are operating on the extremes. So we are either saying, I need to come home from work and I need to spend every spare minute until I go to bed working on my goals, or I'm going to come home, I'm going to curl up on the couch and watch Netflix all night. there are going to be days like both of these. There are going to be days where you have all the energy and you come home from work and you check off all the goals and you feel great and it's awesome. Maybe like 1 or 2 days a month, you're going to feel that way. And then there are always going to be days that you are going to be drained. You had a tough day at work or at school or whatever it is, and you come home and you just need to veg. Most days fall somewhere in between. And so it's giving yourself permission to not have to be this person and do all the stuff, but then also pushing yourself to not be this person. And so what I would try to do, especially when I worked in my corporate job outside of the home, and I like the home, I don't know why I said it that way. When I commuted to and from work, when I would come home, I would encourage myself to do one thing. What is the one goal-related thing that I can check off tonight? And when I say one thing, I mean like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. What is one thing that I can do so that I'm still making progress today? And like you said, it makes you feel good and accomplished. And then the rest of the night, I preserve my energy and I rest and I get prepared for the day, the next day. Interview tips from a resident HR friend. STAR strategy: situation, task, actions, results. Love it. First off, Brittany, thank you for including your name. I always forget to mention this. If your YouTube channel or your Facebook name is not your actual name, include whatever your name is in the question so that I can address you by your name. I have a goal to stop saying yes when people ask me to do things, but I feel bad saying no just because I don't want to. So I do it and I'm unhappy. How do you prioritize yourself and your goals? This is a really tough one. So the first tip, and I got this from a podcast, is giving yourself time to give an answer first. So instead of having to answer right that second, say, can I get back to you in 2 days? Or can I get back to you in this amount of time? And then take that time to really think if it is something that you want to go to. I'm the queen of a pro-con list, but then I also have been learning to like trust my intuition and my gut instinct on whether I actually want to do that thing. And if the answer is no, you have to remember that the benefit that you're going to get from feeling happy and enjoying having that time for you, again, time being a super valuable resource, I feel like that's a theme today, is more important than that guilt that you might feel in that moment when you tell them no. I think the other struggle is that we feel like we owe everybody in the entire universe an explanation when the answer is no. And I actually feel like I've been struggling on the opposite end of this with RSVPs when like no RSVPs come in. And I'm like, I kind of want to know why, like what's the reasoning? And again, not like I'm going to miss that person, right? And they don't owe me anything. They don't owe an explanation at all. If the answer is no, they're not coming to the wedding, then that's the answer. And they don't owe me an explanation. And that is true for your saying no as well. No is a complete sentence. And you can say no without giving them a reason, because especially if the reason is just because you don't want to, you don't have to tell them that. You just say, nope, thank you for thinking of me, or nope, I can't make that work, or nope, maybe next time, right? And just let it go. And it is going to be hard in that moment, but you will feel better in the long run, and it will get easier over time. I promise. Ooh, Amanda, this is a good follow-up to that. I was able to say no when I realized that I was teaching my children that they weren't allowed to say no. It became easier when I was using it to teach them about self-care. I love that. Ooh, and this is also a really good mindset to think about. A no to one thing is a yes to something else. You're giving yourself time. And flip that on its head, right? Anytime you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And even if what you're saying no to is yourself and your time and your self-care, that is something that is important. And it's really, it comes down to prioritization and thinking about in this time. And here's the other thing about this. It doesn't have to be the same for every scenario, right? It doesn't have to be a hard and fast rule. I say yes to this type of thing and no to this type of thing, or I say yes to things before this hour and no to things before that hour. I will tell you, I was invited to something on Friday that starts at 11 p.m. And I am like, that is very late. That is way past my bedtime, but it's also a weekend. And I also have zero plans on Saturday. So I said yes. even though, because I did really, really want to go, I asked myself if this was it, like, is the only thing holding me back is the time of day, or is it because I actually don't want to go to this thing? And I was like, no, if it were at like 6, I would say yes in a heartbeat. So I said yes. And we're going to see how it goes and like how I feel. And maybe in the future, I'll say no. But right now, I decided to say yes. But it's deciding, knowing that it's not a hard and fast rule for the rest of your life. Oh, this is also a good tip. If the no is, if it's like doing an action, suggesting somebody else that could do the thing. Also a really good tip from Cheney. One thing that helped me say no was understanding that those who take my no personally, that is on them and not me. It's a really, really great reminder for sure. Amanda, what if a year-long goal has already started failing? Do we revamp or quit, or how do we go forward? I don't know if you're asking personally, because I don't feel like any of your year-long goals are failing. So I hope that you're just asking this as the general question and not because you feel like this about one of your goals. So I do have a video coming out in a couple of weeks about long-term goals, like goals that are going to take you more than 1 year. But I would say we're not that far into it. So ask yourself, what does failing mean? Does it mean that you haven't done it every single day? That's not failing. Does it mean that you've done it less days than you have done more? That's also not failing. Instead of quitting, ask yourself, is this goal still important to me? And guess what? If the answer after a month is it's not, then let it go. But if the answer is still, yeah, no, it's still important, it's still something that I want to do, try some different action steps, try smaller action steps, right? Go backwards a little bit. I was just working with someone in the group on the group call yesterday who she did what like seems like the right thing. So she was setting a water goal. And in January, she said that she set a goal to drink 4 8-ounce cups of water every day. And she did it like 4 times. And I thought the answer was going to be that she was trying to go from like 1 to 4. So I said, well, before that, or even now, what do you feel like you're doing on average? And she said 3. So it seemed pretty logical to go from 3 to 4. That's not that, it didn't feel like that big of a jump in her, and she's not wrong. Like it didn't seem like that big of a jump. But it was, because then when she upped it to 4, she got it 4 times out of the whole month. Again, it's not failing, but it's the mental of the failure, like that you didn't do it, that you're focusing on what you didn't do instead of what you did. And I said, great. So we're going to do 3.5 instead of 4. And that's what she's going to focus on right now. And then we will revisit it and see if that's something that she sticks with 3.5. Maybe she sticks with it for a whole month until she ups it to 4, or maybe 3.5 is good for 2 weeks and then she ups it to 4, and it'll be easier to go from 3.5 to 4. So we're 1 month into the year. There's still 11 months to make progress. So even if you felt like you did nothing in January, there's still a lot of time. If it is still important to you, smaller action steps or different action steps. Ooh, this is interesting. Pick one place, charity, event, classroom where you say yes and allow yourself to say no to everything else. I love that. Jennifer, I have the same goals as last year because I didn't accomplish any of them. I think my issue is the breakdown. That is very common, that it is that we didn't break them down into small enough steps. So I have a video all about how to break down your goals. Check out that video. Take the time, schedule the time to focus on the breakdowns. Maybe you spend the entire month of February just breaking down your goals and then start fresh in March. Oh, there's more from you. I am giving myself the same daily breakdowns each month because I can't think of any other ideas or ways, but they're clearly not working. So yes, an option is to change it. And maybe it's asking somebody else who's worked on that goal, Googling ideas for moving towards progress on that goal. For most goals, there are a lot of different ways that we can achieve it. There's not one right A to Z path. Or make them smaller. Maybe it's that the steps are too big given all your other commitments and you need to make the steps smaller. Another one. So I think to myself, maybe the breakdowns are broken down enough, but I cannot figure out any daily or weekly action items to replace them. I think it is the other struggle that might be happening is that you're lumping them all together and like, I didn't do any of my goals. None of my action steps are working. Maybe take a pause, look at the things and say, what is working or what could work if I just focused on that? Maybe take it one goal at a time and focus on just the action steps for those goals. See if those work. Keep the ones that do, let go of the ones that don't, move on to the next goal. Instead of trying to do all these action steps for all of these goals and then saying that none of them are working. And it's possible that none of them are working. Very, very possible. But sometimes I find that when I lump all my goals together and I say like, none of it went well, when really it's like one of them is not going well and the rest of them are just going okay. But instead of pushing them and realizing what I did do and that they're just okay, I'm lumping them into the goal that didn't go well. That makes sense. My coffee is very good, but it's also like, it's like right now kind of that perfect temperature. And I'm like, if I don't drink it soon, it's going to get cold. So I need to drink it. Okay, it looks like I'm all caught up on the comments, but it looks like the last one was from 3 minutes ago. So my guess is StreamYard's taking a second to upload. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Amanda commented that deciding once is like, it's a lazy genius principle. If you have no idea what that is, the lazy genius is someone that I follow on Instagram and admire a lot. She has a book called The Lazy Genius Way that I highly recommend. One of her principles is to decide once and make a decision ahead of time that you're going to do X, Y, Z, and just having that hard and fast rule. But one of the things that she also talks about is that you could change your mind. Like you can make a decide once and then change your mind later to do something else if that's no longer working for you. Where's my shirt from? It's from Amazon. It's just a plain white shirt. I bought it last year for a dance costume because we had to have a white top that was fitted. And I like the only thing I had was like a tank top that was feel like a more of an undershirt and not like an actual shirt. So I bought this to go with that costume. And now I like it. I wear it a lot. Jessica, will you give us an update on your golden coil after Q1? I don't know if I'm going to be ready to talk about it after Q1. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I will definitely eventually give you an update on it. I just don't know if it's going to come that soon. I also don't know what format I'm going to do that in. Like, I don't know that I want to film a whole new like planner lineup video, but some things have definitely changed. So I feel like I need to figure out how I'm going to share that information. Crystal, thoughts on creating a capsule wardrobe. So if you don't know what a capsule wardrobe is, the concept is that each season you pick a small amount of clothing items, you buy high quality items in a set color scheme that you can then mix and match. And then that's your like wardrobe and you have way less clothing items. I think, and I don't know if this is where your inspiration for this question is coming from, but Shay Budgets, who I love to follow on YouTube and Instagram, she is fantastic. She has been talking about her capsule wardrobe for the last few months, and it's been really fun to watch her like create her style or like create a wardrobe based on her style and like see her color scheme and all those things. So I think it just depends on who you are as a person. I like clothes and I like options and I like color, and I feel like the concept of a capsule wardrobe typically is a lot more neutrals that you mix and match with each other. And I don't typically live in the neutral world. I also don't do a lot of mixing and matching because I just wear a lot of dresses, and I feel like those are not as common in a capsule wardrobe. So I never really looked into it because I really never felt like it would fit my personal clothing desires, clothing like preferences and styles. But it is an option. It is kind of a cool option. I also felt like I never really wanted to put in the investment to buy really nice pieces. I have started a little bit dipping my toe into buying nicer things that I know will last me longer. But I would say probably 80% of my wardrobe is like Old Navy, TJ Maxx, and Marshalls and Amazon. And I love what I have from those places. And even if it doesn't last as long, so I'm not ready quite to like make the investment to have those things. I think you also need, which I feel like Shay did a good job, you need to know like what your style is going to be like and your like job and whatnot to know what kind of wardrobe you need to curate. And I feel like I've always kind of been in this weird transition where I'm not quite there yet on what I would like to buy for a capsule wardrobe, if that makes sense. Oh, yes. Melina, also the Lazy Genius podcast. Thank you for reminding me of that. You ordered yourself the Peloton bike. I'm so excited for you. Any accessories that you recommend? I don't have a lot of Peloton accessories. I know lots of people are very into it. I mean, I bought the little weights that I like. I bought those through Peloton. I bought my mat from Amazon because I needed a much smaller mat to fit in my small New York apartment, as opposed to the Peloton mat that was really, really massive. That's pretty much it. And then the shoes. I bought the shoes from Peloton. For Sam, we did not buy the shoes through Peloton. We bought his shoes on Amazon and then just bought the clips on Peloton. Just fun fact, if that's something that you're interested in. But really, the accessory I would recommend is the Facebook group, Hardcore on the Floor, if you're interested in doing strength classes as well. Ooh, Casey, any tricks you've used for midday energy boost? I'm getting quantity sleep, but not quality sleep. I also struggle with quality sleep. Sleep in general, I would recommend the book, Why We Sleep. He's got at the end like his 12 tips for sleep. And I think that is really helpful. Even if you can't do all of them, I don't do all of them, but I know that they have also helped me. For me, fresh air, like getting literally, even if it's just like walking outside and turning around, walking back in, fresh air outside of the apartment has really helped my energy. Doing something that I like it's not that I don't like some of the things that I do during the day, but it might be like watching a TV show that I really love that's going to make me laugh, or it just anything during the day that like I like will usually give me a little bit of boost to keep going, or talking to somebody. Like I call my mom and she like gives me that midday energy boost. I know a lot of you mentioned, it was a video a while back where I was talking about being tired every day, which I think I don't know if I kind of settled into that. It kind of is not as big of a deal anymore. Is taking a little nap. I'm not a good napper. If I nap, I'm either gonna be grouchy or I need to nap for like 4 hours. So that's also an option if you're a napper, if naps work for you. Oh, Cheney, a gel seat cushion or the padded pants. I will say it's gonna hurt. Your bottom is going to hurt for a little bit. If you've never really done spin before, you get used to it. Even Sam, it'd been a while since he got on the Peloton and he got back on it recently. And he was like, okay, how many days until this like stops hurting again? So it does hurt for a little bit, but I don't use a seat cushion or the padded pants. I eventually just got used to it and now it doesn't hurt anymore. Can you remind me what weekly planner pad you use? Yeah, mine, the one I'm using right now is Ink and Volt. It's the only one that I could find that had half-hour time slots. I don't like that it doesn't have Saturday and Sunday, but that's what I'm using right now. Any recommendations on furniture since you've moved into your apartment? I'm ready to refresh our apartment since we're not buying a home anymore. I think furniture is very dependent on like what your budget is and what your goal for the furniture is. If you are refreshing your apartment because you're not going to move, you might be looking for some more like pieces that are going to last you a while. We knew that the stuff we were buying for this apartment was going to be relatively temporary because we are going to be leaving New York and we didn't want to pay to move really nice pieces. So we bought like pretty much everything in our apartment is either from Wayfair or Amazon, or there was one other place that we used, but I can't remember what it was. And then my desk is from Walmart. But really, the only things in our apartment that we plan to take with us is like the Peloton, and Sam got a new TV for his office when we moved. Otherwise, and it's a 4K TV, so it's very fancy. Otherwise, like we're not taking any furniture with us to leave New York. So we bought very like inexpensive things, knowing that they might fall apart or that we wouldn't feel bad. If they're still in really good condition, we might try to sell some of them. But the other problem with New York is like these things aren't going to get out of the apartment without taking them apart. So it just kind of didn't seem worth it. So I think those are the places that we shopped, but I don't know if overstock.com, that's the other place that we shopped. So I don't know if that really will help you at all. Tips for clothes shopping on Amazon. Great question. I have a lot of clothes that I like. 2 tips. Number 1, read the reviews. I'm very I will read reviews. I will look at the real human pictures of people who've posted stuff. And most of the time I can pretty much get what I need. Also reading the fabric, because if the fabric is a stretchy fabric, that adjusts on what I'm going to buy. And then Amazon has great returns. Like their return policy is fantastic. So if it does not fit, you just return it. And that's kind of what I got. And for me, returning things on Amazon is simple because all I have to do is take it to my UPS store, which is not that far. And I go there regularly to pick up stuff from my UPS box anyways. And I don't even have to package it. It literally, like, they scan a QR code and I hand them the item that I'm returning. So it's very easy for me. So I don't mind like shopping on Amazon knowing that I might have to return half of it. For my bachelorette party, I swear I ordered like 14 white skirts and like white dresses just to like try a bunch of things. And then I returned a lot of it. Yeah, blue light glasses before bed is a good tip. Lots more Peloton things. So they have any other equipment besides the bike. So they have a treadmill, and then they also have weights that go into the little bike, but you could also get those somewhere else. And then a heart rate monitor. The Peloton heart rate monitor does sync better with the bike. I use my Apple Watch, but I also have the Bike Plus. So that syncs with my Apple Watch. If you got the not Plus, then your watch is not going to sync. Something to know. But my stepmom does not have a Bike Plus, but uses her heart rate monitor from Orange Theory. That syncs up for her. So something else to know. And then padded pants for longer than 30 minutes. Thank you for that, Amy. I don't do rides longer than 30 minutes. Also probably why I don't need padded pants or a cushy seat cushion. Casey, we're going to talk you into that Peloton one day. We are. We're going to. You're going to get one. It's going to be great. Oh, Linda, this is an interesting comment and tip. Efficient napping is a learned skill, but the payoff is worth it. It's very much like finding your ideal amount of sleep for the night. That's really interesting because, like, the Lazy Genius talks about, I think she says a 17-minute nap is perfect for her. I do wonder if we each have like an ideal nap length that would give us a pick-me-up. I'm willing to schedule a nap into my afternoon if I could find a way to make it work. Sam likes to nap, and he will often take a little afternoon nap, and it works really well for him. And he will just do it on his couch in his office. I just have never figured out a nap for me. I think the Bike Plus is totally worth it. Tammy, I agree. I also prioritize the Bike Plus. I will tell you. So the three like main features the Bike Plus has that the other one does not is it syncs up with my Apple Watch. The screen swivels, and then it auto adds resistance during the rides. I had originally ranked them one way and now would completely rank them a different way in terms of which pieces of it are my favorite. Just fun facts. Amanda, I set a 20-minute alarm and just sit with my eyes closed, even if I don't go to sleep. I would fall asleep. I can fall asleep anywhere, especially if I'm tired. Like, I will fall asleep in 2 seconds. A tip from one of the sleep books is to have your afternoon caffeine just before a 20-minute nap. Actually, Judy Holler talks about that in Fear is My Homeboy as well. She calls it a nappuccino, where you drink the coffee and then take the nap, and then it will kick in as you're getting up. Yeah. I just don't often drink coffee. This is like the only time I will drink it, like after 1 o'clock is on Wednesdays because I have dance till 10. Otherwise, I won't have a second cup of coffee after noon. So that would not totally work for me because I don't have afternoon coffee usually if I was going to take an afternoon nap. Now, I guess I could take like a 11 a.m. nap, but I don't know if I need that. I still have energy at that point. Oh, interesting, Kate. Okay. I don't know that I'm looking for a bike, but a rowing machine to do arms and legs all at once. But I like the community that Peloton brings. Yeah, they don't have a rowing machine. The community is great. You could still be a part of the community even without one of their machines. You can just sign up for the app and pay the monthly fee for the app, which is much lower if you don't have a machine, and you can still be part of the community. But if you're not going to do any of those workouts, then I don't know if that would be really beneficial to you. I know that some people will convert the workouts to like other things. Like I know that Brianna from Diva and the Divine does like the treadmill workouts from the Peloton or the bike workouts on her elliptical. But I don't know if you could convert any of the rides or walks or runs into a rowing machine per se. Oh, Linda, my nap, can't keep my eyes open nap is a cup of coffee and a 23-minute alarm. After doing this for so many years, I often wake up rested about 17, 18 minutes later. That's amazing. Well, maybe I will make it a mission to figure out my nap recipe at some point. How long did it take you to discover that one? When did you figure that out for yourself? Because I feel like, I don't know. It's definitely one of those trial and error things. And I was just telling the group coaching group yesterday about like how so many things are trial and error, and we just have to try things with goals and then figure out what works and what doesn't, and like let go of the guilt when something doesn't work for us. So maybe I should need to start testing out napping and see how it works. Tammy, I have a friend who does rowing workouts with her Apple Watch subscription. Interesting. Rachel, the sleep book I recommended is Why We Sleep by, I think it's Matthew Walker, I think is his name. The book itself is a little dense. There's a lot of science behind it, but very beneficial. If sleep is something that you're struggling with, and sleep is so beneficial to just so many goals, I think it's helpful. Casey, maybe napping isn't my problem, but the fact that caffeine doesn't affect me. I don't know. Or it's that you need to figure out how to get quality sleep at night and not worry about the middle of the day energy. I don't know. It's hard. All right. I think I'm all caught up with comments, questions. What else is on your mind? Anything else? I feel like we've been all over the place today. Side hustles, Pelotons, naps, reading, goals. Always goals. Always something related to goals. Anything else that you feel like you are struggling with as we start a new month? Again, I think I've said this in like every time I've been on a camera in the last week or so. January does not have to define your full 2022. Whatever your January looked like, whether that was awesome and you know that things are going to pop up and you're going to get busier in 2022, or whether your January was rough and you're going to have more time in 2022. Don't let your January define the rest of your 2022. Any Valentine's Day plans? No, Tammy, our actual Valentine's Day, I have dance because it's a Monday. And then we just feel like, given that our wedding is a month after Valentine's Day, we're just going to celebrate our love at our wedding and not worry about Valentine's Day this year. How to find a good VA. Amy, I need this. I don't have the answer to this. I wish I did. I don't have the answer for you. I don't have the answer for me. I don't know. I think maybe one of my go-to recommendations or advice for finding a good blank is referral. So like somebody just recently asked me in a Patreon text how to find a good financial advisor. And I know they were asking because that's what Sam does. And I said, a referral. Ask somebody in your life that you know and trust that they have a financial advisor that they know and trust as a referral. And so I think the same thing goes here is if you have a business friend or colleague that you know that they have a VA that they use and trust, then that's a good place to probably go. But that's all I've got. Oh, great assistance program or hire my mom. Interesting. I've never even heard of either of those things, Christina. Thank you for sharing. Amy, I feel like I have so much to do and can never get it all done during the day. It feels like the day is shorter than I need it to be. Any strategies that can help with this? Yes. It's not going to be what you want to hear probably, but I have felt this way before. And the answer is you're probably doing too much. And there, unfortunately, are only so many hours in a day, and you can only do so many things in a day. And there are not enough time management tips and strategies in the entire world that are going to make it all fit if you're doing too much. So the best answer I can give you is that you need to cut back on some things. And depending on the season of life that you're in, it will depend on what the answer is that you cut back. Is it a goal? We've been talking so much about sleep. I'm not here to tell you to like cut back sleep unless it's like really a temporary thing. Like you have 2 weeks of a busy season of work and you need to cut back sleep, whatever it is. Is it cut back on goals. Like instead of working out for an hour a day, it's 30 minutes a day, like cutting back on things, because if you feel like you can't get it all done in a day, you can't. And it's likely that you are trying to do too much, and we need to just cut back on some of those things. I know that's not the answer that you want to hear. It's not the answer I wanted to hear. And I know that that's where I was operating. And then the world shut down and basically forced me to cut back on things. And that's when I realized that that was the problem. It wasn't my time management. It was that I was trying to do too much, and there's just aren't enough hours in the day to do all the things. Good tip, Christina. The biggest piece about hiring a VA is having clear delegations and outcomes you're expecting. That's helpful. All right. It is 5 minutes until we are done. If you have any last minute questions, feel free to pop them in. But I am going to ask you my last question, what is one thing that you will do this week to make progress on your goals? Again, important pieces of this question. One thing, just one step that you're going to take towards your goals this week, and something that you will do, not that you want to do, not that you might do, something you will get to this week to make progress on your goals. It does not have to be a big step. It does not have to be what feels like a mountain moving type of action. One small step that you will take this week to make progress on any goal that you have in your life. If you are here live, let us know in the chat and I will share some of them. And if you are watching the replay, let us know down in the comments. What is one thing that you're going to do from 1 week from whenever you're watching to make progress on your goals? All right. Clean out one box. I love that, Michelle. Just one box. Your 2021 memory planner. Amy, that's exciting. You're so close. Put the goal steps in your Google Cal. I love that one, Ashley. Make your February tending list. I love that, Linda. It's not too late. Absolutely. And check out the Patreon replay. Like watch the replay and make the list. Oh, taxes, Brooke. That's on my thing, on my list too for the month, not for this week. I'm not ready yet. Pick the meditation you're going to do this weekend. I love that. Jordan, welcome. Glad you got the last 5 minutes organizing your tax documents. Oh my gosh, all of you making me feel bad about tax, health and wellness, the Tune Day Arm Challenge. I love that. Read your book club book. Oh, and a mammogram today. You're so good, Amy. Celebrate your mom's birthday. That's so exciting. Congrats. More taxes. Everybody's working on their taxes this week. Set up your February tending list. I love that. Continue to leave work. Joanna, I'm so proud of you for doing that. Create an SOP for one of your job duties so your team is prepared when you go on vacation. I love that, Maggie. So you can enjoy your vacation. That's so helpful. Reorganizing your craft closet. Read with your son at night. I love that. Oh, Carrie, no questions this week, but just wanted to say hi. I'm glad that you could join. Thanks for joining. Continue decluttering 30 minutes a weekday. Jessica, that's amazing. That's it. You're going to be done in no time, it feels like. Finish making a birthday gift. Use your Moxie Life weekly spread. Tax prep. More tax prep. Everybody make me feel bad about tax prep. Go through bathroom cabinets. Oh, and expired things. Oh, I feel that for sure, Brittany. Set a 10-minute timer right after work and work on your checklist before you curl up on the couch. 10 minutes. That's it. One thing. Just check one thing off. Breaking down an action step into the smallest possible steps. Amy, I love that. And then I saw this question from Diana. How do you decide what to remove from your day when everything feels important? I get it. The prioritization is going to have to come from what is have you ever seen that matrix that's like urgent, not important, important, but not urgent, and then not important, not urgent? I would encourage you to sort by that matrix. I forget what it's called, but sort your tasks and focus on the urgent, important, start there, and then see how long it takes you, and then move into one of the other quadrants. Typically at that point, you got to move into the urgent, not important. All right. That is it. Just a reminder, the small steps add up. So keep taking all these small steps that you shared are amazing. All these people working on their taxes. You're amazing. Keep working on those small steps. They will add up over time and you will continue to see progress on your goals. If you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate it. Oh yes, Amy, the Eisenhower Matrix. Thank you. Thank you for popping in with that. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you so much. If you're new here, click that subscribe button and I will see you next week.